Could you handle the ultimate workplace challenge? A floating city in the middle of the ocean where you'll live for the next 4 months. There's no quitting. You're literally trapped 15 miles out to sea. Yet crews keep coming back, proving that human resilience can conquer even the most brutal conditions. The first thing you notice on any oil rig is the noise. Steel groans against ice, waves pound the concrete base, and equipment hums constantly. Your new home is a 200,000-ton structure built to withstand 60-foot waves and temperatures dropping to minus 15 degrees Fahrenheit. Yet it still moves unexpectedly beneath your feet. This floating city stretches 30 stories from seabed to helipad, but nearly all usable space fits within an area the size of a supermarket. Engineers designed every feature for survival first. The concrete base contains enough steel reinforcement to build 4 Eiffel Towers. When Arctic ice forms, an angled protection belt breaks it into harmless chunks before impact. Even the walkways use sliding bearings that shift during storms to prevent structural damage. Workers here face unique hazards daily. A minor equipment failure could become catastrophic within minutes when you're 15 miles from shore. The rig has 7 independent shutdown systems that activate automatically if sensors detect gas leaks or pressure changes. Every corridor has emergency breathing masks spaced 50 feet apart. Yet the greatest challenge isn't mechanical, it's psychological. There are no windows in living quarters, meaning you might not see natural light for weeks during winter. Shifts follow a strict 12 hours on, 12 hours off cycle regardless of weather conditions. Sleeping during a storm means lying in a vibrating bunk while metal screeches under 8-inch winds. Crews learn to compartmentalize fear quickly. Hesitation during an emergency could cost lives. Surprisingly, evacuation isn't always the safest option. Survival pods can't outrun Category 5 hurricanes, so sometimes you just have to ride it out inside the steel walls. What keeps people returning to this environment? The answer lies in the meticulous precautions. Food stores last 60 days. Water purification systems handle 60,000 gallons of water every single day, and backup generators power the entire rig for weeks if needed. Crews form tight bonds through shared hardship, developing nonverbal communication for high-noise areas. Many say they actually prefer the predictability. Out here, every risk is calculated and contained. New hires undergo 6 months of specialized training before setting foot on deck. They learn to identify the smell of hydrogen sulfide gas, rotten eggs at just 1 ppm, and practice escaping smoke-filled corridors blindfolded. The platform operates with military precision because it has to. One distraction could trigger a chain reaction. Yet veteran workers describe an odd comfort in the routine. When everything around you is controlled chaos, mastering that chaos becomes second nature. The ocean tests you in ways land never could, but beating those tests creates a pride no office job can match. Here's something most people don't realize. On an oil rig, the concept of day and night doesn't mean much. The drilling never stops, which means somebody's always working while someone else tries to sleep. Workers adapt to a schedule that would break most land-based routines. The day starts at 11:30 p.m. for those on night shift, waking up to the hum of machinery and flickering fluorescent lights. By midnight, they're eating a full meal in the canteen because the rig's kitchen operates around the clock. There's no such thing as lunchtime, just designated breaks at 2 a.m., 4 a.m., 10 a.m., and 12 p.m. to keep energy levels stable. Fatigue is the real enemy out here. Working 12-hour shifts in a high-risk environment demands constant alertness, so the rig's dining hall stays open 24/7. Hot meals are served at 6 a.m. and 2 p.m., but you'll always find sandwiches, fruit, and coffee available. Workers learn to eat when they can, not when they're hungry. Some develop the habit of double meals, loading up on calories before a long stretch of physical labor. The kitchen staff plans menus carefully, balancing protein and carbs to combat exhaustion. Sleeping becomes a skill. Workers on opposite shifts share tiny cabins, meaning one person's alarm clock might go off just as the other finally drifts off. Earplugs are mandatory, but they don't block out the constant vibration of drilling or the occasional jolt from seismic activity. Veterans learn to sleep through tremors that would send newcomers bolting upright. The body adjusts, but it's never fully rested. That's why breaks are strictly enforced. No one can work beyond their shift, no matter how critical the task seems. The schedule follows a brutal logic. 2 weeks on, 3 weeks off is common, letting workers recover after marathon shifts. But during those 2 weeks, every minute is accounted for. Safety protocols forbid overtime to prevent fatigue-related errors. Even bathroom breaks are timed. The system feels military in its precision because it has to be own lapse in concentration could mean a gas leak or machinery failure. What surprises outsiders is how quickly this becomes normal. Within a week, eating steak at midnight or drinking coffee at 3 a.m. feels routine. The body's internal clock resets to the rhythm of the rig. Workers develop a shared language of fatigue, recognizing the signs in each other: the 1,000-yard stare, the automatic movements. They joke about rig time being its own time zone. And in a way, it is. Out here, the only clock that matters is the one counting down until the next breaker, the helicopter ride home. Standing on an oil rig platform feels like being inside a carefully packed toolbox. Every structure serves at least 2 purposes. Walkways double as emergency escape routes, equipment rooms contain fold-down workbenches, and even the railings incorporate measurement markings for quick equipment checks. The living quarters occupy just 15% of the total structure, cramming 240 people into spaces designed for half that number on land. Your assigned bunk measures exactly 6.5 feet long by 3 feet wide, with a curtain replacing a door because hinges waste precious inches. The shower situation perfectly illustrates the rig's space constraints. Each stall runs on a 90-second timer, activated by pushing a button that also starts an LED countdown. The water shuts off automatically because fresh water comes from energy-intensive desalination systems. Workers develop military-style washing routines: soap before turning on the water, shampoo applied during the rinse cycle. Dining shifts operate with similar precision. The communal area fits only 80 at once, despite serving nearly triple that number daily. Hot meals rotate every 8 days to prevent menu fatigue, with supplies calculated down to the individual potato. Shared spaces become battlegrounds for privacy. Smoking areas function as improvised meeting rooms, despite official prohibitions against lingering. The small cinema plays movies on loop, with workers timing their visits to avoid crowds. Internet access comes through satellite terminals where users face strict data limits. Video calls drain bandwidth, so most resort to text-only messaging during peak hours. Even the gym equipment folds against walls when not in use. Vertical movement defines daily life. You'll climb 47 steps just to reach the operations deck from your bunk, passing through 7 fireproof bulkhead doors along the way. Storage solutions exploit height rather than width. Toolboxes stack vertically. Laundry chutes serve multiple floors, and maintenance crews use wall-mounted ladders more than corridors. The design prioritizes safety over comfort, forcing workers to navigate this steel honeycomb hundreds of times daily. Surprisingly, these constraints breed efficiency. Workers memorize exact spatial relationships. How many paces from the drilling console to the first aid station? Which stairwell provides the fastest route during blackouts? Newcomers adapt within days, their bodies learning to navigate tight spaces automatically, even during emergency drills. The perpetual lack of personal space becomes routine, fading into background awareness like the ever-present vibration of machinery. What would feel claustrophobic on land transforms into just another work parameter, as natural as checking your oxygen monitor or securing tools before a storm. The platform constantly reminds you of its limitations. Your metal locker fits precisely 1 change of clothes. The bathroom mirror has a laminated checklist for mandatory hygiene inspections. Even bedside outlets charge phones vertically to conserve surface area. Yet crews report feeling more organized here than in sprawling land facilities. When every inch matters, you stop misplacing things. The confinement forces discipline that carries over into work routines, creating paradoxical efficiency in this overcrowded steel world. The psychological toll of offshore work becomes most apparent around week 12. That's when the novelty wears off and reality sets in. You won't see land for another month. Workers describe a mental shift where time distorts. Days blur together despite the rigid schedule. The lack of natural light exacerbates this effect, with artificial lighting erasing circadian rhythms. Some develop rig eyes, a tendency to stare blankly at walls during downtime caught between exhaustion and hyper-awareness. Recruitment processes screen for psychological resilience before candidates ever board a helicopter. Applicants undergo psychological evaluations that test stress tolerance and isolation coping mechanisms. Training includes emergency scenarios, but also modules on conflict resolution, because cabin fever creates tensions no safety manual can predict. Workers joke about the 3-week itch when petty disagreements peak before crews stabilize into uneasy tolerance. The limited space means no true escapes. Grievances can't cool when you sleep 6 feet from the person irritating you. Cinemas and gyms exist on paper, but veterans know they serve a deeper purpose. These spaces become outlets for controlled frustration boxing bags, absorb anger, treadmills burn restless energy. Internet access follows strict rules because arguments escalate quicker when social media feeds remind workers what they're missing ashore. Communication with family happens through scheduled video calls, often with colleagues waiting impatiently behind you. Companies provide insurance benefits partly to ease the guilt of absence. Knowing your family's health care is covered makes the distance slightly more bearable. Stress manifests physically in unexpected ways. Workers report phantom vibrations, the sensation of their bunk shaking even during calm weather. Others develop tics like counting footsteps or checking door latches obsessively. The environment amplifies small habits. Nail biting turns into raw fingers. Nervous laughter becomes uncontrollable during downtime. Medical staff keep antidepressant prescriptions discreet but readily available, knowing the stigma could prevent workers from seeking help. The turning point comes when crews transition from co-workers to survival partners. This bond forms during emergency drills that feel two real gas leak simulations where your mask fogs up, or evacuation practices where you're literally clipped to someone else's safety line. Trust builds through shared inconvenience, covering shifts when someone's child is sick ashore, or quietly swapping bunks so a seasick colleague sleeps near the center. Veterans recognize when newcomers cross this threshold, it's the moment they stop complaining about the food and start defending the cook. Strange traditions emerge as coping mechanisms. Some crews hold weekly complaints meetings where grievances get aired formally, then dropped. Others create elaborate prank rituals shining a particular wrench or decorating helmets before night shifts. The humor leans dark, but stays carefully calibrated to avoid crossing lines. Psychological training emphasizes these micro-connections. A shared eye roll during safety briefings matters as much as formal team-building exercises. Workers develop a sixth sense for when teammates are struggling. Changes in eating habits or shower frequency trigger quiet check-ins. The isolation creates paradoxical intimacy. You might not know a coworker's hometown, but you'll notice immediately if they skip their usual third coffee. This hyper-awareness becomes the platform's true safety net, catching psychological strain before it becomes critical. No training manual can teach it. No technology can replace it. When land disappears beyond the horizon, your coworkers become your world for better or worse. Here's the surprising truth. Oil rig platforms will keep operating until 2050, pumping oil long after today's workers retire. That means decades more of crews enduring those claustrophobic bunks, timed showers, and midnight shifts. Next time you fill your tank, remember the unseen sacrifices behind each gallon: the sleep deprivation, the months away from family, the constant vigilance against disaster. Think you could handle it? Type "rig life" in the comments if you'd survive even 1 month out there. What you've seen today isn't just about oil rigs, it's about the human cost of the energy we use without thinking twice.